Ooh, time to open presents.
Here you go.
Knew himself he worked. That character Columbo was an evolution. Influences coming up next on Bravo. Tonight on Inside the Actor's Studio, James Lipton talks to the actor with the grittiest resume on the mean streets of Hollywood, Harvey Keitel. Then stay tuned as Jack Nicholson pulls double duty as actor and director in the sequel to Chinatown, The Two Jakes. Feeling less than literary these days? Go see a movie.
And I want to see it. It sounds such a glorious place.
Because Bravo's going by the book with screen versions of great novels no one ever gets around to reading.
Nobody can't blame a person for looking.
So why ever open a book again?
You're hiding something, man. Speak up.
See the movie.
Come on, come on, come on!
During Bravo's By the Book Festival. All this week. Watching Bravo, the Film and Arts Network.
I would say sitcom is much closer to theater than film.
I lived for television.
That was the most influential image that I had.
So what I was really affected by was something elemental in George C. Scott.
Then there was I Love Lucy. And I Love Lucy was just so funny.
Yeah, I was a TV kid.
Welcome to Influences, which is coming to you from the Museum of Television and Radio in Los Angeles. Our program explores the influence of television's past on the work of television performers, writers, and directors of today. Usually, some of the most powerful influences occurred when the people who make television what it is today were children, sitting in front of their sets, watching great performances by people they'd never hoped to meet. But for a few of them, sometimes because they entered the field so young, the television artists they learned from and were inspired by were standing right next to them. They were their co-workers. We'll see interesting examples of that kind of influence on this episode with our guests Hector Elizondo and Susan Lucci.
I used to box way back, when when I had hair.
But you were good.
Well, I had hair.
Hector Elizondo was one of those rare actors who didn't have to struggle to break into show business. Show business came to him. As a child, he was discovered by a talent scout at a school recital, and soon after, he was hired for his first appearance on something new called television. At the time, though, he barely knew what TV was. His family eventually did get their own set, and young Elizondo began to find inspiration in the great television dramas of the 50s. As his career blossomed, he became a highly respected actor on Broadway, in film, and on television. Today, audiences probably know him best as Dr. Philip Waters, Chief of Staff of the acclaimed television medical drama Chicago Hope. As Dr. Waters, Elizondo brings depth and subtlety to a hard-driving, emotionally guarded character. It's the kind of carefully observed character work he learned firsthand by acting with some of the great talents of television, whose work continues to influence him to this day.
Yes.
I'm having second thoughts.
Well, the first day at a new job.
A kid walked into the ER with an assault weapon.
That doesn't happen often. I was more of from a radio generation. Our family came to be television owners rather late. And prior to that, we would go visit neighbors, and we'd watch Howdy Doody. We'd watch Sky King. I actually loved Gunsmoke. That was a good show. It was a very good show. And then the show that really captured me as a younger man was Have Gun Will Travel. I loved Richard Boone because he was a combination of a mensch, and a gentleman. He was an erudite, cultured man who would kill you if he had to.
You're a disgrace to the human soul. You're a vulture that can't wait to prey on the dead. You prey on the living. I'll tell you something, Culligan. There are a lot of people here who are ripe to tear you down. All they need is a good excuse. And I'm going to give them that excuse.
You can talk all you want. People here will stick with me. You think they're going to listen to a stranger? An itinerant gunslinger?
I promised a man that I would not commit violence. I never found it harder to keep my word.
He never resorted to gross fisticuffs, as it were. He used his brain, And once in a while, he'd use his gun. But he didn't like to kill anybody.
She's too small to hide all of you. Now turn her loose before I start carving pieces off you.
You want to take a swing at me? Oh, please. You know, I come here every day trying to be a rudder to you prima donnas. You don't know the frustration I have to bottle up inside. I would love to blow. I go to bed and pray somebody will take a swing at me and give me the opportunity. Do me the biggest favor known to man, Aaron, and swing at me. Yeah, I had no plans to be an actor. I had other plans in my life. First of all, the top of the list was to play for the New York Yankees. That was my dream. It was a man who came into my life who was instrumental to crossing the Rubicon into the world of television. And that was Mr. Handy, W.C. Handy, the father of the blues, as he was known. I was discovered in a school play, and I was singing a song that was quite inappropriate for my age. It was St. Louis Woman. There I was, 10 years old, St. Louis Woman, you know, I had no business singing that song, but I sang it. And I did have swing, by George. At the end of it, Mr. Handy, I understand, insisted on an audience with me. It was a little confab. It seems what they exchanged was some information regarding an audition. I had never heard of the word. All I knew is that they wanted me to sing. Got the job. It was the Okie Dokie Ranch House with Wendy Barry, early television. I was inspired early on watching a television show called East Side, West Side when I watched George C. Scott. I said, whatever he's doing, that's the way to do it. I don't know what he's doing, but there's an element of honesty and danger there.
You're a clown. Somebody takes you seriously, you turn somersaults. You can't stand it.
Everybody's so serious. Who cares?
Nobody. That's what's so funny. Nobody cares what happens to you, except your wife. Only that kind of loyalty's a little out of your reach, isn't it?
And I realized that you can't superimpose those qualities if somehow they're not there, here, you know? Something about your pores. So what I was really affected by was something elemental in George C. Scott.
If we exhaust our resources on a futile philanthropic quest, we have nothing.
Futile.
We are a service business.
We're doctors. I'm declaring this an emergency procedure. For that, I don't need trustee authorization.
You listen to me.
I held those babies in my arms. We're doing it. Meeting's over. George knew himself. He knew what worked. He loved language. George always loved language. And he watched himself on screen in the beginning. And he knew what worked. Fortunately for me, the first director that I worked for forced me to watch the dailies. Frightening experience. I've been doing theater for 10 years. I mean, that's how I made my living. So I was a prepared actor. I realized that it doesn't work if you try to translate a theatrical technique to the camera. It took me about 3 seconds to realize that. I was watching myself and I went, oh, that's it. I said, never again.
This is Jim Rockford. At the tone, leave your name and message. I'll get back to you.
The Rockford Files was unusual because, first of all, James Garner and his approach to work. I learned a great deal from Mr. Garner. He took his work quite seriously, but didn't take himself seriously.
Hey, pal. Now, come on. Come on, what do you think you're doing? Huh?
I'm gonna do what you want, pal. I'm gonna find Jennifer.
Oh, Mitch, now just put the suitcase up.
No, okay, come on. Now, let's talk enough about it. Now, come on. Now, that's...
He made it look so easy and incorporated everyone else in it. He created an environment that allowed him to work as well as he could. And that was an important lesson for me. He said, you better know what's going on. You better know what all the pieces are about if you're going to work in front of the Kodak. And I took that to heart. I watched him and I learned that. Peter Falk. There's a hard-working guy. He's another fellow with very high standards. That character, Columbo, was an evolution. That was the result of a great amount of work. You'd see him in the corner figuring it all out. Every minute he would be there. I don't know this and that. I say about that. He's flapping his hands, messing with the jacket. You know, it was endless. And I thought he just walked in and did this thing. No, he had it down to the, this is not right, the shoes aren't right, they gotta be scuffed, the shirt ain't right. And it was wonderful. Chicago allowed me to create a character that I got to be involved with and got to like very much. I was attracted, first of all, to the writing, David Kelly's writing, his take on a character, and the fact that I heard that he would write for you. Once he got to know something about you, he would take that marrow and spin it into a character. So it sometimes got to be uncomfortably close, as this character sometimes was. There was something tragic about the character that attracted me. I think there was something unfinished about this character, something restless and dissatisfied. And I think he wanted to be a hero and was trying to find ways to do that.
Philip, it's not good.
Don't say that. Don't say that. 30 years in medicine. I don't want to hear that. I can't save my son's life. I don't want to hear that. There was one where my son died. We committed suicide. Come on, son. Come on, Michael. Clear! Clear! Come on, son. Philip. Come on, Michael. Everybody out.
Philip.
Out! Out! That episode reminded me of why I became an actor, why I used the foibles and the vulnerability and all the layers that have created your life, and use them, funnel them, and channel them into this craft, so that somehow, in spite of yourself, you help create this communication with other people that is very much universal. People say, yes, that's the way my life is. That's the way life is. That's when it becomes exciting. You don't get that opportunity very often, at all.
This program is sponsored in part by the AIG companies, world leaders in insurance and financial services.
This town will not put up with the vulgar body movements of Elvis Presley.
I saw him gyrate his body and wiggle his hips. He should not be on television.
Tonight on Inside the Actors Studio, James Lipton talks to the actor with the grittiest resume on the mean streets of Hollywood, Harvey Keitel. Then stay tuned as Jack Nicholson pulls double duty as actor and director in the sequel to Chinatown, The Two Jakes.
You're at 30,000 feet. You're in sudden cardiac arrest. Odds are, you will die. Fortunately, Agilent makes a powerful defibrillator that's also portable. There'll be no unscheduled departures today. Agilent Technologies, dreams made real.
Through September 4th, enjoy special savings on all of our collections, including Bella Sera by Thomasville.
.3com lets you get up, work where you want, and stay connected to the network. 3com. Simple sets you free.
Like many other little girls growing up in suburban New York, Susan Lucci was fascinated by the make-believe world of television. She had no way of knowing, of course, that one day she'd be playing Eriq, the leading role on All My Children, one of daytime television's most successful dramas. She's played the character for 30 years now, which has allowed an unusual relationship to develop between her tempestuous character and her millions of fans. It's turned out to be a complicated bond. They admire her, they tell her off, they love her, and above all, they're devoted to her. It's a relationship that has lasted longer than a lot of marriages, and it's made Susan Lucci one of the most watched actresses in the history of television. Here's Susan Lucci and her influences.
What's going on here? My movie?
Not just your movie, Erica. Your life. Light!
When I came to audition for All My Children, I read the script, my audition script, and I remember thinking, this is amazing. This was a scene between a 15-year-old Eriq Kane and her mother, Frau Heflin, who wound up playing Mona Kane. And we were put together from the very first day of auditions. And I read that scene and I thought, whoever wrote this really knows how mothers and daughters are with each other. There was love. They clearly loved each other, but they didn't agree on everything. It wasn't so reverent and it wasn't so polite.
By the way, Chuck's coming over later. Oh. Are you here again? Are you going out again? Now that she has that car, I never know where she is. Sometimes she goes 4 or 5 places in one evening.
Well, you gotta go where the action is, Mona. Isn't that right, Erica?
When there is any. I mean, Pine Valley isn't exactly the corner of Hollywood and Vine.
Yeah. Well, I've been on that corner. It's not all it's cracked up to be.
I watched soaps with my mother as a little girl, and my mother's best friend and her little girl. We used to have lunch in front of the TV when I was very little. And, you know, no one told our mothers that it would be bad for us, and we didn't think it was bad, and I was very entertained. As a child, my favorite thing to do was to make up stories and act out all the parts. And when I would play with other kids, I would always enlist them to do the same thing with me, and that's what we would do. So I think that performing was just very naturally a part of who I am. I remember seeing Sophia Loren and Claudia Cardinale and Gina Lollobrigida in these movies that were on the $1 Million Movie and all of these. And Rita Hayworth. I mean, they had movies from all eras, Elizabeth Taylor, Ava Gardner. And I remember thinking, when I grow up, I want to do that.
That would be a dream come true for me. It really would.
I remember it happened one night with Clark Gable, and I thought, because I was a kid and I was at home watching these things, I didn't know that anybody else knew about these movies. And I remember when I first came to All My Children, we were in rehearsal very early on, and I was the only kid in the scene, and there were a whole bunch of the adult actors in the scene, and I remember saying, you know, this reminds me, I don't know, you probably never heard of this, but there's this really old movie called It Happened One Night, and all the adults, of course, just convulsed in laughter that I would think they never heard of it, because I had just seen it on TV. What I saw portrayed in the sitcoms that I saw growing up was that things were too polite. It wasn't what I thought reflected any real life that I had ever experienced.
Lamb curry. What's the occasion?
Well, does it have to be an occasion for a wife to cook her husband's favorite dish?
I love you, Mother. I'm so lucky to have a mother as sweet as you.
I looked and thought, that is so old-fashioned. That is so not what real life is about. And I thought Donna Reed was beautiful, but everything was always so perfect. You know?
Although I'm talking about my mother, these sentiments apply to all mothers. She is the strength of our nation, our community, and our family. The most beautiful word in the English language. Mother.
I remember seeing Eileen Fulton on As the World Turns, and she played a Southern woman who had a relationship with her mother that seemed to me to be more complicated. I mean, it sounded better to my ear.
Mother, the reason why I phoned is I do need that deposit money for the apartment that I wrote you about.
Well, we've been thinking it over, Lisa. Your father and I think you might be making a mistake by taking an apartment in January. Lisa, you told me when I saw you that you were still in love with Bob. And I told you that it was up to you to take the first step toward a reunion.
I know what you told me, Mother. But as much as I love Bob, I just can't take the chance of Bob turning me down.
I just remember thinking, that seems more realistic.
Oh, Ricky, please, just let me do the commercial.
Nothing doing.
Why not?
Look, honey, this is too big a chance for me. I need someone with a lot of experience.
Well, I've had experience.
Then there was I Love Lucy, and that seemed better to me, and they weren't so polite to each other. that was really, I think, much more realistic.
You've never even been on a television show.
Well, maybe not, but I've watched them a lot.
And I Love Lucy was just so funny.
Yes, with Vitamin you can spoon your way to health. All you do is take a tablespoonful after every meal.
Lucille Ball transformed comedy for women.
It's so tasty, too.
She set a standard that I think even today I can't look to anybody who's really ever reached that. And on top of it, she was groundbreaking. Groundbreaking then, setting a standard that remains today.
It's just like candy.
That's astonishing that someone did that. And I believe it was Lucille Ball.
So why don't you join the thousands of happy, peppy people and get a great big bottle of
I think Agnes Nixon has a wonderful gift, and she sees the humor in life. I had never seen humor on daytime television.
You know, I really can't blame Erica for letting her looks be so important. You know, when you look at the rest of her life, what she got?
I do not need a man to be happy.
You certainly married enough of them.
That must be Erica now.
What is in common with both I Love Lucy and some of those comic scenes is that the people playing them, involved in them, they're not aware of the humor, but the humor is there.
My advisor at school says that I'm really talented and that I should major in drama.
You? Talented?
Uh-huh. And she also says that I'm beautiful.
Beautiful? Oh, you're not even blonde.
Well, I could dye my hair like you.
I feel so lucky to have grown up in this show, to learn from people like Fra Heflin, who played my mother Mona, and Ruth Warrick, who plays Phoebe. Both were always so generous in telling about the history of themselves being actresses.
Oh, Phoebe, why must you tear my heart out?
I would be pleased to do that if only you had one.
Ruth would talk about Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater and some of those experiences in Hollywood. And Fra would talk a lot about her experiences in the theater, both in New York and in London. And I would be just fascinated. They were so bright. Fra would ask me after every scene and mean it, "I think that play, darling, don't you?" And that was the main thing, and that was the only thing. And to this day, it's the thing that people care about here. Did the scene work? Did we make the material come alive?
I loved you. I mean, I really loved you. And I gave more of myself to you than I had given to any other man in my life. And I trusted you. And you abandoned me. No one has ever hurt me as much as you have hurt me. I thought you'd like to know that.
What I do believe about All My Children is you have issues that are really central to people's lives. The issues on our show are about love and about family and relationships. And I think those are the really central issues.
Oh, it's our baby! Is born, is he all right?
He's fine.
It's Travis.
What a great name!
It's a nice name.
But I think maybe you better think up another one.
What's wrong? What's the matter?
What?
Not a thing. Travis, Erica, your son is a daughter.
So I think a lot of that is entertaining. I think some of it is cathartic. And a lot of times the audience is smarter than some of the characters, and they'll say, she should have told him the truth. You know, if she'd only told him the truth, they wouldn't be in this mess. But of course, the mess is a lot of fun to watch, so it's very entertaining.
You low-life, scavenging, parasitical scum. That's it. That's all I have to say.
That says it. Cut! Cut and strike.
This program is sponsored in part by 3Com. Home, office, or beyond, simple sets you free.
Here, give me that. It's my wire. Get out of the way. Give me that. That's mine. Need these phone lines ready by 5. They need this data line up by 5. That's my wire. No, it is not. Get out of the way. No, give me that. IT guys are all the same.
3Com lets you combine voice and data into one network. Because 2 networks are 1 too many.
Oh, the wires.
3Com. Simple sets you free.
Enjoy all the comforts of home before you get there. The Acura TL.
Everybody knows it's smarter to buy in bulk. Even long distance.
Thank you.
Now you can get 1,000 minutes of nighttime calling for just $20.
That's a big block of talk.
And you won't have to strap it to your minivan. Switch to Sprint at 1-800-PIN-DROP. Call now and get free internet call waiting. And never miss another call when you're online.
What turns on TV's greatest?
Sid Caesar.
Rod Serling.
Saturday Night Live.
Find out on Influences, tonight on Bravo. Jack Nicholson directs and stars with Harvey Keitel in the Chinatown sequel, The Two Jakes, tonight on Bravo.
It looks like you're blushing, but the blushing never really goes away.
I felt so self-conscious. I mean, why is my face always so red?
I thought it was acne, but at my age?
It was embarrassing.
If you have redness on your face that doesn't go away, you could be one of the 12 million Americans with a skin condition called rosacea. Rosacea can get worse if it's not treated, so call this toll-free number and get the facts about effective rosacea treatments that are available.
Now I feel relieved. I know what it is, I know how to treat it, and I'm myself again.
When you call, you'll receive a free booklet that tells you what rosacea is and describes things you can do to help keep your rosacea under control. You'll also receive a free list of dermatologists in your area who can diagnose and treat your rosacea.
Now people look at me, not the redness.
Isn't it time you faced up to rosacea? Make the call today.
This face is looking good these days.
Next Sunday on Influences, what do Eriq, Lasalle, and Homicide creator Tom Fontana like to watch?
When I Spy came along, I completely accepted that. And it was great to see that image of just 2 men working together.
I remember liking The Defenders. I remember it being smart. It felt real to me.
Influences, next Sunday at 7:30 on Bravo.
Hector Elizondo and Susan Lucci, like all the guests on our series, have found inspiration in television. But in their case, by living the experience and not just watching it. Please join us next time at the Museum of Television and Radio as we explore the people who have moved and touched the people who have moved and touched you, here on Influences.
Next on Inside the Actors Studio, James Lipton talks to the uncompromising star of modern noir cinema, Harvey Keitel. That's next on Inside the Actors Studio. Then stay tuned as Jack Nicholson directs himself in the sequel to Chinatown, The Two Jakes, coming up tonight on Bravo. Harvey Keitel is inside the actor's studio.
The director says, well, I just don't see you as being sensitive.
I found strength never knew I had. And this love is like nothing I have ever known. Take my hand, love. I'm taking you home, taking you home. There were days, lonely days, when the world wouldn't throw me a crumb. No, no, but I kept on believing that this day would come. And this love is like nothing I have ever known. No, no, baby, take my hand, love. I'm taking you home. I'm taking you home, where we can be with the ones who really care. Home, where we can grow together. Keep you in my heart forever. Oh, and this love is like nothing I have ever known. No, 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 baby. Take my hand. Taking you home, taking you home. Yes, I am.
Certainly was fearless.
Bill Cosby was, he was smooth. He was so cool,
Yeah, I was a TV kid.
Welcome to Influences and to the Museum of Television and Radio. When something particularly good comes along, something refreshingly good and startlingly original, we may be tempted to think of it as an isolated event. Its very originality can lead us to think that there must never have been anything like it. But of all the people who have changed our view of the world, some of the best of them have acknowledged the influences that have inspired them, goaded them, drawn from them work that has come from the deepest places in them. On this program, Eriq Lasalle, the powerful actor from ER, and Tom Fontana, who created Homicide, explore the television of the past that has influenced them.
John Carter.
Yes, sir.
Peter Benton. You the surgical student?
Yep, third year.
Good. We're going to be spending a lot of time together, so let me show you around so you'll be oriented.
Eriq Lasalle is an actor who's very serious about his work, and so is Dr. Peter Benton, the character he plays on ER. And just as Benton is smart, driven, and passionate, so is the man who plays him. But you might be surprised to hear what the influences have been on his creative life. They range from slapstick comedy to innovative drama. And he learned much about what would become his life's work in his living room watching television. Born in Hartford, Connecticut, Lasalle studied drama at Juilliard and New York University, which led to roles off-Broadway and on. In Hollywood, he auditioned for a part in a television series and wound up with a leading role in what is one of the most popular, best written, and most obsessively watched dramas in television today.
before ER came on, I ran into Dennis Franz at an award ceremony. And I just walked up to him and I said, you know, I really need to thank you for giving me the courage to be true to my character. Because I felt he was always true to his character, and to the point where he was an ass at times.
What you said this morning was wrong. I got my personal opinions about you. I think you're an asshole.
I think you're an asshole.
But that hasn't affected how I've treated you on the job.
You really believe that?
Yeah, I really believe it.
You guys make me laugh.
Now, what guys would you be referring to?
Black bosses.
He was a bigot. He was drunk. He was not the most flattering things. And a lot of times actors, you know, we become so preoccupied with what people think of us that we do a disservice to our characters.
This has got to stop, Andy. What's got to stop? This. You're getting stiff every afternoon now. Hey, look. I don't recall requesting any career counseling session from you. When was the last time you tried going on a wagon? When's the last time you tried growing tits?
What the hell are you doing?
Saving his life. Statinsky?
Cracked his chest. He needed a laparotomy.
You should have been here to do one.
You should have called me sooner. Gone.
Aorta's cross-clamped. Pressure's coming up.
This was completely unnecessary. What the hell were you thinking?
A minute ago, there was no pressure. Now there is.
Sterile gloves. Step back, Dr. Finch. I've got it from here.
Peter, he was about to rest.
Step the hell back now.
As a kid, I think you actually planned your life around certain things. In the afternoon, I remember at 4 o'clock, no matter how, whatever you were doing, if you were playing in the street, you know, touch football in the street, 4 o'clock, dark shadows came on. The streets just completely disappeared, you know. Everyone was just like, completely gone. Lucille Ball was very influential. Whatever she did, she went for it. And I remember I would watch her, and I would sweat because I was so engrossed in whatever she was doing. I was kind of like I was there. She had, you know, the famous episode where she's in the chocolate factory. I mean, I was working as hard as she was. I look back on that and I realized that this was an actress who was so committed to what she was doing and so talented that she made the audience feel for her. She made the audience empathize. It was incredible pathos.
Here she comes.
Fine, you're doing splendidly. Speed it up a little!
You couldn't watch her and not be affected and not be involved in her life. When I was young, I got a lot of the feature films that then were put on television. So I got a lot of the Sidney Poitier films. This band just was so charismatic and strong, and I think growing up in a place like Hartford, Connecticut, dreaming of being an African-American actor was, you know, definitely not encouraged, was pretty unrealistic. But there was just a dignity, and there was this strong sense of self and self-worth, and that this man started giving to me at an age that I wasn't quite sure. I didn't even know what dignity was, you know what I mean? I was like a little kid, I'm just looking at this guy going, there's something about this man.
Adelina thinks maybe she's gonna be a doctor herself one day.
Hubert.
That's what you said?
So what's wrong with that? Adelina make a fine doctor.
Changed my mind.
Oh yeah, why is that?
Because doctors act like they know everything when they don't.
Yep. We make mistakes. I made a mistake with your diagnosis. I am sorry, Adelina.
It's okay.
The reason that the Benton character was and still is so attractive to me is because I definitely wanted to put forth certain images that I felt weren't necessarily handled in a strong way in the past. I know with Benton, the thing that when I first read the pilot, it was written as a film 20 years ago by Michael Crichton, and he always envisioned this character being black. The most impressive thing he did, when I read the pilot, there were no references to his race whatsoever. That was so attractive to me. I Spy was something that I never knew what it took to have, a black man in a lead role, opposite a white guy. You don't think in those terms as a kid, you just accept it. And that's why I say I think television, there's such a power and a strength, because if you put something out there and you don't apologize for it, the audience has a tendency to just accept it.
Well, it's about time you got here. Hey, man, you try and black out 80 square blocks without the city's permission. I got blisters from cutting wires all over the place. Oh, where's Bernie? Hey. He's out at the airport. I chained him to a biplane. How come? Well, mostly because I didn't have a helicopter. No.
When I Spy came along, I completely accepted that. And it was great to see that image of just two men, friends, working together. Bill Cosby was, he was smooth, he was so cool, and Robert Culp, in their little, chop karate.
Hey, what are you doing out in the cold ocean? Will you get in here? Not on my salary. Scotty! Scotty! Get out of here. These are my new slacks. When you have to pay for this sweater, Scotty!
I think that the influence of that even affects me now, because I think ultimately, whenever I approach something, I always go back to relationships. And ultimately, that's what I think the audience wants to see. And I think the audience will accept a lot of things if it is based about relationships, and they can invest in those relationships.
Don't think that I'm not gonna write to your mother and tell her what you didn't do.
And I think something like I Spy was a show that invested heavily in the relationship.
They tell you that I'm some kind of junkie, and you believe them, and you come down and ambush me.
Carter, you're out of control, man. If you can't see that, then I don't care, but you're getting into that van.
No.
Get in the van.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
There are a few episodes, and most of them involved Noah Wiley. I think the chemistry between the two of us was and is so great. Whenever you find that type of collaboration and that type of unity, I think it's a great thing.
This week, fentanyl. Next week, you end up dead, or worse, you end up like your cousin, some babbling gork in a nursing home.
The last episode of this season.
Carter, you want to fight, that's cool, man, but either way, you're getting your ass in that van.
Noah and I are reunited in I think in a very cool way because of his drug addiction, and Benton, who you've always kind of thought, oh my God, he's so hard on this guy. Then you start seeing through that tough veneer that the guy he's got heart, he's got soul. I mean, the audience saw this mentor type relationship, and they saw the heart, they saw the love. Sorry. I want to have those moments, because again, it's all about moments, and you remember moments. That's what I think the role of an artist is, and I think that's why I direct, that's why I write, that's why I produce, that's why I act, because I want you to see this point of view. And that's what I aspire to. I want to affect people. I want people to say, wow, man, that moment between Benton and Carter, it was real.
Like the things that life is showing you? Where are you going to? Do you know? See, I had an urge to hop the next flight to a balmy island named after some French saint, but then I saw what a ticket costs if you don't book in advance. And I had to be revived by airport security. So I went to Priceline.com, where you can name your own price. Do you know how much stew I saved? Do you know?
Introducing a new line of paper from Hammermill that makes your work look better and brings everything you print to life.
If you're as good as you look on paper, you've got the project.
Make your work look better and hammer it home on Hammermill.
Tom Fontana is a writer and a creator of television shows whose work continually challenges the conventions of television. With Homicide, he helped create one of television's most critically acclaimed cop shows without a single shootout or car chase. On the HBO series Oz, he defies convention again by setting an hour drama in the earthly hell of a maximum security prison. Week after week, he closes the prison door on us and locks us in with a dark and complex vision of human nature. It's a vision that may be tempered with a leavening cynicism and ironic humor, and a look at the vulnerable core of his characters, but it's one that you probably have never experienced on television before. He says that television was a presence in his life from the moment his parents brought him home from the hospital in Buffalo, New York. And as a boy, he loved everything about TV. Today, he seems to love doing everything he can to challenge television and expand its possibilities. Here's Tom Fontana and his influences.
Oz, the name on the street for the Oswald Maximum Security Penitentiary.
When I was growing up, there was a television on in our house from the day I was brought home from the hospital. I was born in '51, and we had a little TV, and so I watched a lot of television growing up. I remember things like Friday nights after the Flintstones, watching The Twilight Zone and being completely and utterly terrified. In the same way the theater has O'Neill and Arthur Miller and Tennessee Williams, I think television has Rod Serling and Patty Chayefsky and Reginald Rose in terms of those early, golden age of television guys. But what's interesting about Serling, as opposed to Chayefsky or Reginald Rose, Serling was in it for the whole thing. He did the Playhouse 90s, Requiem for a Heavyweight, and yet he did these series. There was a series he developed that ran very short number of episodes, and it was this very bizarre Western that he wrote. It was like a non-Western Western, and he would go into towns and he would get involved in people's lives.
My dashing, self-reliant husband. A mighty oak of a man who could be depended on and leaned upon. Mr. Cauldron, meet Colonel Phelps.
I guess I've always been attracted to the peculiar, and Serling certainly was fearless in doing things that were risky.
Prisoner number 65R814, Robert Ribideau. Convicted September 9th, '65. Murder in the first degree. Sentence, death. Commuted to life.
My job ultimately is to tell a good story. And telling a good story has to involve real characters in real situations behaving in a real way. That isn't to say that's all of television should do that, because it would be a fairly flat wasteland at that point. But I think in terms of the writing I do, I'm really only interested in seeing how people behave.
Mother, you don't know what it's like in here.
Can imagine.
No, you can't. And I thank God every night for that. So if you want to tell me about how Angus is doing in law school, or about Dad's most recent fishing trip, or grandmother's lumbago, fine. But if you came here to lecture me, tell me to just say no. Don't put that final knife in my heart.
I also remember liking The Defenders because I remember it being smart, and even though I didn't quite understand a lot of it growing up, I thought it felt real to me. For me, it wasn't a matter of, oh, look, here's a law show. It was more like, here are real people having real conversations about important things.
Courageous lawyer, a defender of unpopular causes, just as long as it's popular to be unpopular. But this rubs you the wrong way, doesn't it? This scares you a little bit.
No, you scare me, Mr. Cale. Because guilty or innocent, I wish I didn't feel it my duty to defend you.
I've never felt like deserting any client before. It's against my principles. The very fact I've thought of it scares the life out of me.
The law itself bores the snot out of me, but as do most police cases, you know, that's not the interesting parts for me. It's the human parts of a story that I get attracted to. St. Elsewhere was, to me, graduate school for anybody else. I was a New York starving playwright, and Bruce Paltrow said, come out to LA and write an episode of this show. And Bruce was an enormously generous teacher in the sense that he could really articulate what he expected of you, but he didn't ask you to give him what he wanted. He asked you to give him the best that you had.
Excuse me. I'm here to visit the sick.
Are you looking for someone in particular?
Well, I'd better start with the iffy ones. I'd hate for the great deceiver to get them first.
Oh, well, we only allow friends and relatives in to see the patients.
But I am their savior.
As in God?
In the flesh.
Oh, really? Is it the end of the world already?
Oh, no, this isn't my second coming. Spring is all wrong for an apocalypse.
So it wasn't about, he didn't want to make little baby Bruce Paltrows. He wanted Tom Fontana to be Tom Fontana and John Tinker to be John Tinker. And to hear our own voices and use the series in ways to express ourselves.
My father always said, one life, one day in that life is as precious as any other. We lose patients for a lot of reasons that we can't control, but when we lose a patient because of our own ineptitude, it's unforgivable.
And the shows that I didn't respond to growing up, I think were the ones that I knew inherently were trying to make me feel good, or trying to comfort me and say, well, you know, all police are good and all doctors know what they're doing and all lawyers are ethical, and what happened, at least, and I think probably for my generation coming out of the 60s, was that it all seemed like a total lie. I hope what we're seeing today is a balance. All cops are human, is what we hopefully are seeing. It's certainly what we tried to do on Homicide.
Frank, I don't have to tell you the kind of stress that we're under here. You're right, you don't need to tell me. It seems like every week there's a murder, the bosses are getting on your ass, the press is sticking their noses in, and you turn to me and you say, Frank, we're under a lot of pressure. Well, I know we're under a lot of pressure, G. I'm not an idiot, okay?
There were a couple of times when I think we hit moments. I think the subway episode that Jimmy Ashimura wrote is a classic hour of television.
Didn't know he was gonna die?
We tried to bring it up. I asked him if he wanted a priest or a minister, but he wasn't in any shape to understand when we first got down here. Best thing then was to keep him calm.
Okay, how long does it get?
30, maybe 40 minutes, tops. The second we move him, he's a goner.
It was like theater. It was, or like an old Playhouse 90, in the sense that 90% of it was in this subway station, you know, and it was a conversation between two men, one of whom was dying.
It's not every day you talk to a dead man, huh? I want my fare back.
Your what?
My $1.35. I paid my fare. I didn't get my ride.
No, you didn't.
Then I get it back.
All right.
Wife?
Huh?
Do you have a wife?
Wife, yeah, yes.
Is she all right to you?
Yes.
You get the world by the ass.
Yeah, I do.
I think that crime shows, when they're done well, I think, they're about real people in extraordinary situations. So I think we're drawn into it because there is a life and death situation going on, there's an urgency to it, and so we lean a little closer to the TV because we want to know, well, okay, now that he's experienced that, what's he thinking about?
I do know that I did what I did because he shot you. He wanted you dead.
And that justifies it?
Yes.
If I agree with you, it goes against everything I believe in.
every principle I stand for.
I'm not asking you to compromise yourself. I'm just saying we don't all live in the same world as you. For most of us, what has to be done matters more than what should be done.
Every series that I've done has started in one place, and however long it was on the air, evolved into something else, and then evolved into something else, and then evolved into something else. I happen to think that's terrific. I think what's important for a series is to continue to evolve. Then we could draw you in to the drama, you know, to the human stories we're trying to tell.
Natalie Wood, Ken Wall is the leader of the pack in Philip Kaufman's The Wanderers, Thursday on Bravo. What turns on TV's greatest?
Sid Caesar.
Rod Serling.
Saturday Night Live.
Find out on Influences, tonight on Bravo.
Eriq, Lasalle and Tom Fontana have found in television a place where you can tune in for more than casual entertainment. If you watch it with the right eyes, you can sometimes find in the programs of the past the tools to create a refreshing and original vision of the time you live in. Please join us next time at the Museum of Television and Radio as we explore the people who have moved and touched the people who have moved and touched you here on Influences.
Next on Inside the Actor's Studio, James Lipton talks to the actor who chased Suzanne Summers and that white T-bird around the valley in American Graffiti. Oscar winner Richard Dreyfuss, next on Inside the Actor's Studio. Then stay tuned for more from Dreyfuss as he takes on the role of a fascist dictator in the south-of-the-border comedy Moon Over Parador, coming up tonight on Bravo's 5-Star Cinema.
Jaws was a film that began shooting without a script, without a cast, and without a shark. And he said, so you want to make it? And I said, no, because it's going to be a bitch to shoot, and I'd rather watch this movie than shoot it. And then I called Steven, and I begged him for the part. And I decided at that moment to badmouth every actor in Hollywood. Pacino has no sense of humor. Nicholson is crazy. I talked everyone out of the stuff.
Richard Dreyfuss is Inside the Actor's Studio with host James...